Welcome, Aquarius, to your in-depth monthly forecast for March 2026 for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. I'm going to share with you, first of all, the big themes of this month. Then on screen, look at the event chart on the 1st of March. That natal chart provides a backdrop for the whole month. What does it tell us? I'll then go through the influences frame by frame to give you a clear picture of what you can expect in terms of your relationships, money, energy, and work. Welcome. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now and help it to continue to thrive. As we go into March, you still have two mighty players in your sign. The tiny but influential Pluto is in an opposition with the moon, which is highly charged, but also Mars, about to leave your sign on the 2nd, is in a tense right angle with the disruptive Uranus, which has had quite the impact on where you live, how you live there, and who with over the last 7 years. Intriguingly, that's a repetition of a right angle they shared when Uranus first moved into Taurus in the middle of May 2018. What does it mean? But Mars moves, as I mentioned, on the 2nd into the sign of Pisces. If you recall, at the start of this year, we had a stellium of energy in Capricorn. That then shifted into your zodiac sign. You retain Pluto and will do so to 243, but Mars, as I mentioned, about to make way. And that stellium is manifesting in the moving, mutable, emotional, psychological sign of Pisces. But what does that mean for you? We do have a Pisces new moon on the 19th. We also have the traditional ruler of Pisces, Jupiter, in a stunning alliance with the Sun on the 5th and going direct on the 11th. What's the implications of that? But also, we have the only total lunar eclipse of the year on the 3rd in Virgo. I'll unpack that as well. But of course, last month, Saturn returned to Aries, joining up with Neptune exactly on the 20th. They both briefly visited Aries last year, Saturn for just over 3 months and Neptune for 6 months. But this month, towards the end of the month, the Sun, once it moves into Aries and we begin the new astrological year on the 20th with the vernal equinox, Saturn will lay in wait for the Sun for the first time in 29 and a half years. And in the case of Neptune, for the first time in 150 years. So it's truly historic. So on the screen, Aquarius, let's look at your two ruling planets. So first of all, Uranus. Uranus may have created changes to where you live, may have given you the impulse to make more space, for example. You may have felt restless, but that's actually taken you to a place that you feel more ease in because Uranus is about finding our higher purpose, and the fourth house can be about where we live. But it is in that tense right angle with the buccaneering energies of Mars in your first house. So Mars has been with you for just shy of 6 weeks. And in that time, it's really been encouraging you to be very passionate about what defines your individuality. What I feel what will happen once Mars moves on the 2nd into Pisces is in the following 6 weeks, you'll want to turn your individual creativity and experiments into something more tangible and firmer, particularly around money or building up your sense of self-worth. But that clash with Uranus just suggests that there may be an electricity around your impatience to crack on and get those rewards, and maybe someone's lack of understanding about your situation. So, someone within your family may be detached, maybe spun out, maybe unpredictable, or maybe unavailable, and that can be very frustrating. However, Pluto in the sign of Aquarius is in an opposition to the moon. And you know, the moon in Leo can be prideful. It is in the first decan, so it is sub-ruled by the sun. But I think that's a very strong position for the moon to be in on the whole. It is in a quincunx with the sun, but I feel the moon in the seventh house just encourages you to try and keep things on an even keel. So even if things can be quite frustrating, that your desire to manifest what makes you very unique. If that is in some ways checked, just try to keep the lines of communication open. And with Mercury retrograde through to the 20th, obviously, if you're discussing or want to discuss money and someone seems to be unavailable, that could be a trigger point. But just know Venus, the planet of money, ironically, forges a terrific sextile with Uranus. If you work from home, I think that's a very positive sign. If you work with technology, also very good. Also, your ability to turn the resources you've got into something firmer and more tangible will be boosted by the sun moving forwards another 5 degrees and coming into a trine with Jupiter, the planet of fortune. And that's in a retrograde through to the 11th, but in your sixth house of work. Maybe you are about to get the rewards that you've long sought and deserve. And Mars will bring a furnace, despite being in the soggy Pisces, it will bring a furnace, a determination to get what's rightfully yours. So I feel that despite the fact that Mercury is detrimented in Pisces, the key there is to make sure that if you are discussing anything of a contractual nature, your information is really sound and well thought through. But Venus is going to be moving on and into Aries on the 6th. For you, I think that's really good. She's soon going to pick up energy and forge a very strong sextile with Pluto. If you have a connection with someone or a discussion which takes place around about the 6th to the 9th, even though Saturn may bring what feels like a moderating dimension to it, so you might not get everything you want, for example, I feel what it does bring will be solid, and that will be something to build up your base from. Also, Neptune in the third house is going to do wonders for your personal charisma and expression in the years to come. So, although Mercury in Pisces, obviously, because it's the modern aquatic ruler, has strengths. I felt for you, for the most part, since 2012, it may have made you unclear at times about your values, it may have made you over generous to good causes. It may have seen you prone to being perhaps used a little bit by people who have maybe your very good nature and very kind nature just may have been taken a little bit for granted by certain people. So, having Saturn as a sentry to Neptune in this early phase of their conjunction, once the Sun arrives back in the sign of Aries and we begin the new year on the 20th, the Sun aligns with them after Venus does on the 6th to the 9th. You get a repetition of that towards the end of the month. And I feel that you can end this month in terms of your personal communications, feeling more respected and more valued and more validated. But I think patience will be important, clarity will be important, and therefore the moon being in the seventh house is just despite that very intense polarizing energy with Pluto, which can see moods go up and down in very extreme ways. And that's really asking you to keep an even keel. However, what we do have is also Jupiter going direct on the 11th. So if you have found around your work, for example, or even around your physical energy, you haven't quite had the traction you would like, it wouldn't be a surprise. It's the biggest planet outside the sun, and it is about opportunity. It is also the natural ruler of the sign of Pisces, and because it's in the water sign of Cancer where it's exalted, it's asking you to understand the emotion of your effort, your commitment, your sacrifice in the sixth house. But I feel it going direct will be like unblocking a log jam. And some good news could precede it because of that trine with the sun just before that, too. So that's very encouraging. There may be a conversation around the 15th with Mercury being applied to by the advancing Mars, where you could really make it very clear what you want. And that's good. Uh, the mutable energy of Pisces at times can make it difficult to make things tangible and really defined. I think Mars will give you that push to really make the most of shifting energy that Mercury there can have. But then on the 19th, we have a new moon. And that also can be very good for your finances. But I think it also can be very good for your emotional well-being because it forges a great link to your modern ruler Uranus. Perhaps you can start to feel more liberated because I think Saturn over the last 2 years probably has had quite the impact in Pisces for a lot of Aquarius people in terms of self-worth, value, life foundations, maybe finding it difficult to keep the diets, um, or maybe it's been money, everyday money that's rather elusive. So the fact that we get a new moon just as Saturn has left is a cycle really, which shows that if you put the effort in with the drive that Mars brings to the equation as well, some rewards can start to come to you this month. But that brings us to the 20th. Mercury ends its retrograde. That's good. It doesn't emerge from the post-retrograde shadow until the 9th of April. So there may be a little bit of a lag, but the Sun moves into that third house. The Sun is exalted in Aries, the start of the new astrological year, the most exciting moment in the whole year. It's the astronomical new year as well as the astrological new year. Ushers in Cardinal Quadrant 1, a 13-week period when your skill as a quick communicator, because Mercury, remember, is the ruler of your second decan. And some astrologers, and I agree, say that Mercury is accidentally exalted in Aquarius. So third house energy, very Gemini-like, and that is ruled by Mercury. So things can speed up, but of course, speeded up with a degree of reality. So it's not about frivolous chat, it's about saying things with purpose because of Saturn. So if you have very clearly defined ideas, particularly around publishing, the digital sphere, uh, maybe it is to do with words. If there's something you want to write that's creative, maybe it is a desire to get a new mode of transport, but you're not going to rush into it, I don't feel, by the end of this month. And also with Venus moving into Taurus on the 30th, the other sign she rules other than Libra, I think if you do end this month feeling a lot stronger financially, a lot more intact in terms of your value, it'd be great to get together with loved ones and have some kind of celebration, whether it's a nice lunch or a dinner or a walk in nature, and just enjoy, some nice food, very sensual, very Venus and Taurus would be a fabulous thing to do. But I think your role as a very futuristic trend seer uh, can be validated a lot this month, which will be very gratifying. But if you have been working on something and not really felt seen and heard, and that in itself has been frustrating, there can be progress, definitely. Just know with that angle between Mars and Uranus, if you don't get the message quite as quickly as you would like, you really could be very exasperated very quickly. But try to detach yourself from that because that energy will actually bounce away any potential to draw good things to you. And for sure, you can draw good things to you because the event chart at the start of this month really does point to an improvement in your financial situation. If you would like to understand what Saturn, your traditional ruler, holds for you for the next 2 years, Aquarius, please click on the link within this video. The other link is to my new website, which we're developing at pace. Please join us. It's packed full of very heartfelt information. I think a lot of horoscope websites are very generic and don't really connect when I read them. I feel ours really does come from the heart. So please come and say hello. If you'd like to review one-to-one, please check out my testimonials below. You can also order your personal forecast, either in natal or draconic format. If you order the natal package, there's 50% off. Please apply Astro 26 at the checkout. If you want draconic, your soul karmic package, there's 50% off. Please apply Draco 26 at the checkout. Both provide searing insights, great value, very accurate, and totally unique to you.